So good morning. Let us discuss about the newspaper of 30th. The first important article is parliamentary approval to the Prevention of Corruption Act 1988 and the amendments. So the first important thing is, let us try to understand what is the history of the Prevention of Corruption Act in India. The first prevention, the issues related to the corruption are covered through an ordinance, that is Criminal Law Ordinance in 1944. And then the major purpose of this article is, with regard to any offence, if a money is procured through an offence and if it is concealed from the authorities, so to punish those offences, this law has been brought up during Burmese war. And the second thing is, 1947 Prevention of Corruption Act, it is to majorly deal with corruption related to the post-war reconstruction. And after that, 1988, we got the Prevention of Corruption Act, which is existing as of now. And added to that, India is a signatory of UN Convention against corruption. Now, Indian corruption law also has to be oriented to this United Nations Convention. The 2013 Amendment Bill, which was introduced in Parliament, it majorly aims for this purpose. If carefully observed, the 2013 Bribery Act of 2013 Amendment Bill, it is according to the UK Bribery Act. Now this UK Bribery Act has two important provisions. One is the bribing of a public official by a private agency. It means that even private agency also is conducting an offence. So in this case, the second thing is foreign public official is also brought under the purview of this law. It means if any UK agency, either private or public, if it is trying to bribe a foreign public official, yes, they can be punished by UK's law. And the second thing is the corporate offences which are negligent about the corruption conducted by their fraternity or by their particular employees also covered under this law. So importantly, corruptions abroad are corruptions to the foreign agencies, and next is corruption made by the corporates. Both of them are being covered under the UK Bribery Act. Now in India, the amendment bill want to introduce these provisions. So in this context, the 2013 amendment bill did not take certain safeguards which are necessary. So what are the safeguards which are not been undertaken? So in these circumstances, there has to be a clarity and certainty to indict certain people or corporates in these crimes. So it means a person, if he does a crime, an employee in his individual capacity, it shall not indict the corporates in every case. So it means in UK, a set of guidelines will be given, and if anyone is not following this set of guidelines, then the specific safeguards are now missing in this particular corporate office, then the corporate can be indicted. For this matter, the Secretary of the State, he shall give certain guidelines to the corporate companies, and the UK framed the guidelines. And even if you take USA, the Attorney General of USA under American Federal Corrupt Practices Act, he has to issue the specific guidelines to the corporates, which they have to induct them into their daily practices. Then, if they do not induct them into their daily practices, it can be concluded that they did not make effective measures to the control of corruption in their agencies. Now, in India, in the proposed changes, the corruption is regarded as a heinous crime, with penal provisions being increased from 5 to maximum of 7 years. And the second thing is, the ambit of the act will be increased to include the commercial establishments, and a set of guidelines will be provided by the government to these commercial establishments which they have to follow in their procedures. Now in 2013, whatever the amendment introduced by the UPA government, there is no specific provision with regard to the introduction of these guidelines as like in UK and USA. This is what is the major change which is going to be brought in. And one more important thing is, any corruption charge, there will be a speedy trial within, it will be closed within 2 years. So these are the amendments they are trying to bring in with regard to these laws. And next is the Japanese quake and what is India preparedness. With regard to this, I prepared a small slide. So Japan and quake preparedness, understand that the character of earthquake itself. An earthquake always repeats itself, and an earthquake, any time between two quakes is relatively larger than the lifespan of an individual. It means whatever the lessons we learn from an earthquake, it has to be carried forward to the future generations. It means a systemic response is necessary to prevent the earthquakes. So the third thing is, it is impossible to predict at what exact time the earthquake comes up. It means only solution is a quick, strong preparedness is the best way to mitigate the consequences of the earthquake. Now in this context, what this article suggests is, the first is we shall assess the risk in that particular area. How can we assess the risk? The magnitude of the earthquake, the previous earthquake, and next is how frequent the earthquake is occurring. If earthquake is occurring too frequent, then that particular area is prone for, or else the risk of that particular area is very high. And next is, if there is a too long a gap too, then the severity of the earthquake, if it occurs, that's going to be very high. So based on this, you can provide for a magnitude, frequency. And third is social fragility. So it means to what extent citizens are prepared and to what extent the society has quake resistant buildings, etc. They determine the risk of a particular society to the earthquake. So the magnitude, frequency are the technically determined things. Social fragility is our intervention towards mitigation of the earthquake. With regard to the this particular thing, cost-effective resistant building solutions, what are necessary are a strong building code law. So, building standards law, where we can build in something called quake-resistant buildings. So, what he suggests is, in areas which are highly prone to earthquakes, a huge public investment is necessary. And in low prone areas, the citizenry and commercial establishment can take a thing forward to build the quake resistant buildings. The tax incentivization to the commercial establishments is proven effective in Japan. So these are the points we need to talk about. And on the other hand, the response time. So if you see, the quake which is our tsunami which comes up in the ocean travels at a lesser speed considered to the electronic signals. In this case, the real-time earthquake observation, immediately when the quake comes, it has to be reported in the headquarters. And the second is earthquake early warning system. You shall be able to send an automatic established protocol. It shall able to send the message to everyone in the country and all the places in the country, public establishments in the country. So because of this, third thing is, people shall be immediately able to react to that. It means that the children in the schools, people living in apartments, they shall immediately come to the open spaces. For that, an annual drill on these procedures is very much necessary. So, the three things. First, evaluate the risk, create the seismic zones or seismic mapping, and the next is improve the quality of response by creating the automatic protocols. And in the long-term measures, a researcher, in this, Japan has a headquarters for earthquake research promotion, which will be handled directly by a minister level officer. So, at fine, the various things which we have discussed is the risk recognition and creating the awareness among the people that your area is prone to earthquake is an important thing. So, the seismic mapping of a particular area. It means I shall know that to what extent my area is prone to earthquakes, how frequent it might be. Then I will be interested to educate myself to protect my life. It means the citizen participation is most important aspect in the earthquake prevention. Now, next let's go to the smart cities issue. Now, in improving the urban infrastructure, there came up something called as Amrut. So, what is this Amrut stands for? So, Amrut stands for Atal, based on Atal Bihari Vajpayee. So Atal mission for rejuvenation and urban transformation. So what it exactly does? So if you observe, under this urban infrastructure, the 500 cities will be provided with 50,000 crores of rupees to finish the unfinished projects under the Januram. So which are the projects which have finished greater than 50%? They will be given additional funds to complete these projects. And the next is under the Smart Cities mission, 48,000 crore rupees is allocated for 5 years, in which 100 crore rupees per annum for 5 years will be provided to the 100 cities. So, and this money will be provided on the basis of a reform agenda. So, how the smart cities will be selected? They are going to conduct a competition called as a City Challenge competition. And after that, various reform measures which will be introduced are, as of now, there is no dedicated municipal cadre in India. So, the state government employees, they serve the municipalities. So, creation of a dedicated municipal cadre who show loyalty to their own municipal government is being suggested for. And next is, the 10% of the budget allocations, they will be given on the basis of the achievements on the predetermined targets. It means if you achieve more, if you perform more, more will be the money will be given to your municipality. And next is, previously under Janurum, individual projects are appraised. For example, transport. What are the projects undertaken? To what extent they are being fulfilled? Now it is no more individual projects. So the entire particular government, entire city will be evaluated. It means that the appraisal is going to be more at a broader level. It means more flexibility is given to the state government. To implement this, the public-private partnerships and also special purpose vehicles are created, and the people participation is more and more stressed on. So this is what is the thing which has been discussed about. Now after this, we have the Ghani visit. I have covered in detail about the Ghani's visit with regard to the motor vehicle agreement and Afghanistan-Pakistan transit trade agreement, and added to that changing opinions of Mr. Ghani towards Pakistan and making Islamic State as a great threat when compared to the Lashkar-e-Taiba, Taliban, etc. And he is in the process of peace building with the Taliban, and his particular words talk about that. And with regard to interview, he says clearly that he is talking about the ecology of the terrorism, which also includes Lashkar-e-Taiba and also Taliban and all the other terror-causing organizations, including Islamic State. So, but however, what he says is the Pakistan reluctance to allow the Afghanistan trucks to directly come into India was criticized, and he wants to have a nationalist priority or nationalist basis on equal terms with regard under the Afghanistan trade transit agreement, so that Afghan trade with India can be increased. And next is the MG Narega as insurance. Yesterday's article video, if you see that, what are the problems which are going with MG Narega as highlighted by the World Bank in its India Development Report are being discussed. So the BJP government's existing government's reluctance towards MG Narega is taking away the last means of insurance the people in rural India has in times of distress. That is what is the emphasis this article is making about. And thank you very much. And please let us know how did you like about this particular mind maps which I have prepared for them so that we can post for you. Thank you very much.